Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're doing well. If this is your first time on my channel, then thanks for joining. I hope you enjoy the content. In today's video, I want to explore with you guys the nature of experience. And by doing so, we're just going to reduce it down to its most basic element to see its overall truth. Now, we have 5 sense faculties: touching, tasting, smelling, hearing, and seeing. Everything that we do experience is filtered through these 5 senses. I, the subject, experience a so-called world, people, and objects. And lo and behold, everything that we do experience appears as and is limited to these 5 sense perceptions. If we were a bat or a dolphin, then our experience would be filtered through their faculties. Now, in non-duality, and more specifically the direct path, we want to know the nature of ourselves, but also of reality. The goal is to collapse duality and remove the distinction between the knower and the known. By doing so, we first have to discover what we are and then start exploring the nature of reality or experience. Now, our general consensus and model of reality is that I, the subject, experience this stuff outside of myself called matter. If we rely on our sense perceptions to inform us about the nature of reality, this is what they convince us, that we experience this stuff called matter. Now, looking at today's evidence, no physicist has ever found this stuff called matter. They're still looking for it. Yet we build our models of reality around this stuff that we've never experienced. We typically start with this inert material called matter that miraculously came into existence, then gave rise to a human body, which in return gave rise to consciousness. Now, we can also look at the mind in the same way. No psychiatrist has ever found something called a mind. Nobody has ever cut open a so-called mind and found these little fleeting things called thoughts and images. So why do we give so much credence to matter and mind and build our models of reality around it when we've never, in fact, ever experienced these things, let alone found them? What if instead we started with a consciousness-only model? Because what we can say for absolute certainty is that our experience now is consciousness. So let's drop the matter-only model and start with a consciousness-only model and see what the nature of experience tells us. If we start with a consciousness-only model, then we need to be able to start with our experience and reduce it down until we've reached nothing but consciousness. So allow me to use the example of a tree. Now, typically, we say, I am having or I am seeing a tree. I am having a perception of a tree. Now, to start with, the tree has never once said that it was a tree. This is just a label that the mind has applied to a form abstracted from reality. So we say we're seeing a tree. We're having a perception of a tree. But if we remove our perception, what remains of a tree? The answer is nothing. We never experience the of a tree separate from our perception. So it's not accurate to say that we are having a perception of a tree, but we can say for absolute certainty that we are having a perception. Now, if we were to reach out and touch the stuff that seeing is made out of, what would seeing be made out of? What is this stuff? Because if we are experiencing something, then by definition we are experiencing what it's made out of. If we were to reach out and touch what seeing is made out of, all we find is perceiving. So we've just reduced matter to mind. First, it's seeing of a tree. Now it's just perceiving. But can experience be reduced even more? Why, yes, it can. So if we were to reach out with a hand, so to speak, and touch the stuff that perceiving is made out of, then all we find is knowing. We've now reached consciousness. And I'll tell you why. Because to be conscious or aware, by definition, means that you are knowing your experience. So we can say that instead of you being consciousness or awareness, we can say that you are knowing. And as you can see, what we just did is we reduced our experience from seeing to perceiving to knowing. You and reality are both made or are this knowing. So we can say, in other words, that knowing is knowing knowing. Advaita, not to. We have reached the conclusion through direct experience that we don't experience two things, something called mind or matter, and us being the subject of it. There is only this pure knowingness. And we can explore these sense faculties, any single one of them, touching, tasting, smelling, hearing, and we will always come to the same conclusion that it is consciousness. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. This just helps this content reach more and more people on their spiritual journeys. That way, this information can assist them and help them in any way possible. I don't really aspire to be a famous YouTuber. If it happens, it happens, but that's not why I do this. So, once again, thanks for joining me, guys. And remember to keep your heart open and stay present. I'll see you in the next one.